and welcome everyone to Art Asia's project on belonging. I'm Susmita Bhattacharya and I'm a writer and artist from India. The project Belonging is about the journeys we make in life and where we call home. Through this workshop, I'd like to invite you to think about your own journey, your own sense of belonging. Where did you come from? Where did your parents come from? Where did you go to make your home? What comes to mind when you think about the word belonging? We will explore this theme with some simple activities I will take you through. Please have some paper and pencils or pens ready, and remember you can pause the video at any point to work on each activity and resume when you are ready to move on. I hope you will enjoy this experience. Let us begin. The first thing that I would say is, what does the word belonging mean to you? So here we have some words as examples, just to inspire you, just to spark off some ideas. But I'd like you to think about the word belonging and what does it mean to you. Write down a few of the words that come to mind immediately. Where do you belong? Where did you belong? Have you moved from there, come to a new place? Who did you belong to? Your parents, your country, your home? And what are your thoughts about it now? Is the place where you live now, do you belong there? Have you made that your home? So think about your home, maybe your school, your friends, your community. What does the word belonging mean to you? To explore this word belonging and to explore what it means to us, let us look at the 5 senses and really think about this word belonging through sight and sound, smell, taste and touch. What do these senses do to you? And that is what we're going to look at when we go through our ideas and write our poems about belonging. We're going to lean heavily on our senses. So just to refresh our understanding of these senses, sight is what did you see or what can you remember being there? What were the sounds that you can relate to with that sense of belonging? What are the smells that take you to that place, that special moment? Or the taste that immediately transports you to that sense of belonging somewhere or to someone? What about touch? How does that relate to the sense of belonging? We're going to use these senses to take us through our journey of discovering this idea of belonging. Let us focus on the sense of taste. And this is going to bring all of the senses together. But let's focus on food, because food gives us that sense of belonging to either a culture or a community or a family that has that special dish of food. You can relate immediately to that place. So I'd like you to think about what food reminds you of your childhood, or what food reminds you of home. Just think about one dish that you remember, and maybe if you can't remember a dish from your childhood, just think of something that you would take with you if you were to move to a new home in a new place. What is that one dish that you would take with you? And once you've got that dish, please write it down, and we're going to work with the senses and draw a mind map and make notes for the following questions. So with the mind mapping, let's have a look at these prompts to think about that food that evokes memories for you. So in the middle of your page, just write the name of the dish or the food from your childhood. And then let's go through these questions and write as much detail as you can for each of them. It doesn't have to be in sentences, just a few words or phrases will do, as long as it brings out, the imagery and the details for you to work on later. So I'm going to go through these questions one by one, and you can pause anytime and write and then resume, and we will go through the next question. So the first one is, what did it look like? This particular dish, what did it look like? Once you've got a few words about its, physical appearance of that dish, think about what did it smell like? Once you've got the smells in place, think about the taste. How did it taste? Think about all the, was it sweet or spicy, or was it something that had a special spice used? What did it taste like? Then how did it sound when it was on the plate? So when it was being put on the plate, or when it was being cooked, what were the sounds? Was it sizzling? Was it fizzing? Or when it was being eaten, was it crunchy, or was it soft and mushy? How did that food sound? And lastly, what textures do you associate with this dish? What does it feel in your hand? Do you eat it with your fingers, or do you have to cut it with a knife and fork? Still, what are the textures that you would associate with this dish? So have a think of all these questions and write down your ideas for about 5 minutes, and then come back and resume with the next lot of questions. So now you've got your basic idea of what this food looks like, feels, touch, taste, sounds, etc. We're going to go a little further into it, and we're going to think about the people, the places, the seasons, the ingredients, and the emotions that you associate with this dish. So we're going to extend that mind mapping to explore these prompts with greater detail. So now write for about 10 minutes, focusing on each of these questions. You can also close your eyes to picture them in your mind before you want to write them. And once again, I will read out these questions to you, and you can pause and write each one and resume to carry on to the next one. So the first question is, think of the spaces where this food was cooked. Was it in the kitchen, or was it in the backyard? Was it a barbecue? Was it in your grandparents' house? So think about where this was cooked. Then think about the person who cooked this dish. Who do you connect this dish to? Who do you remember cooking it? Can you list the ingredients for this dish? So think of the key ingredients that are used to create this dish. Then think of the season when this dish was usually eaten. Was it a winter dish? Was it a summer dish? Or was it cooked for a special occasion, a birthday or a festival or a holiday? Think about the people you ate this food with. Was it with family? Was it with your grandparents, extended family? Was it your friends or maybe school? Where did you eat it and with whom did you eat this dish? And finally, what emotion would you associate with this dish? So when you think about this dish, is it something that's happy, or is it something that makes you full of nostalgia, full of longing for that thing? So think about the emotion you would associate with this dish. Now write for 10 minutes, focusing on these questions and really go deep and write with as much detail as you can. You can pause it and do it and then come back to do the next step. I'd like to share this poem by Moniza Alvi. Moniza Alvi is a British Pakistani poet, and her poem here really brings out that sense of belonging through the food that her mother cooks and these recipes and customs from her father's country. So let me read that and try and find all those senses in this poem and see if you can connect it to the sight, the sounds, the taste, the textures, and the smells. Moniza Alvi's Indian cooking. The bottom of the pan was a palette: paprika, cayenne, dhania, halid heaped like powder paints. Melted ghee made lakes, golden rivers. The keema frying, my mother waited for the fat to bubble to the surface. Friends brought silver leaf. I dropped it on kheer, special rice pudding for parties. I tasted the landscape, customs of my father's country, its fever on biting a chili. So here in Moniza Alvi's poem, we can see the sights of all the ingredients, the masalas, the paprika, the dhania, all of them are heaped like powder paints. And then she talks about the ghee, which is made into lakes and golden rivers, very visual. The keema is frying and you can hear the fat bubbling up to the surface. The silver leaf, again, you can see that special silver leaf being placed on the kheer. And we can see it as a party. So all this is being cooked for a party where the friends are coming and they are going to feast on this food. And you can taste the landscape, the customs of her father's heritage and country, and the fever on biting a chili. So that as well is the taste and the reaction. All of this really comes to life in this poem, and it shows us how strongly she feels about belonging and how this food takes her to that place which she calls maybe her heritage or her home, where she comes from. So similarly, what I have done is I have taken a poem and worked around these senses to create my own poem. And what I have done is I've added my mother tongue, Bengali, to it to give it that sense of, something special, something that is mine. So this is my poem, and I'd like to share it with you. Amar mummy wraps me tightly in a warm paratha hug. Biryani smells surround us as she expertly stirs the pot. Amar Shona, you are my love. We stir our words into the food. As we sit to eat our dinner, I whisper, Mummy, I love you. And this immediately takes me back to my school days where my mother would make parathas for us to take in our lunch boxes. And biryani was very special. She'd make it at the weekends and we'd eat it together. And it was more about, sharing this love through food more than words. And I wanted to portray that sense of belonging in that kitchen with my mother, eating this food with my family. And here are a few more examples that you can listen to.
Kalagasea treats me so well. I can't wait to eat. Love catches us in a warm family hug. I love you, Kalagasea. We eat sweet roti and spicy madras Sanjus. I love you forever, Kalagasea.
Dadin's Luchis. Duhita is my Dadin's home, a maze for us to explore in. My cousins and I play upstairs and run around in the kitchen. The winter sun spies through the palm trees, giving a wonderful red-orange glow. We decorate the Christmas tree with lights and flowers from the terrace garden and say, Kite peche, we're hungry, to Dadin. After a few minutes of pouring and mixing, we take turns to knead the dough. We roll it into tiny balls and make perfect flat, round circles of joy. Dadin turns on the gas and then dips them into the oil one by one. As they puff up, they resemble a full moon in the bubbling sea of oil. We all try to grab a luchi first, crying, I want that one, can I have it? But Dadin smiles and says, come on, there's enough for everyone, just don't eat them all at once. We enjoy the luchis with aloo and chola dal, the food warming our tummies as we wolf it down. After dinner, we race to the terrace and admire Kolkata town. Can we have more tomorrow, Dadin? We ask, and she says, I'll definitely try. And we watch out for the full moon together, gleaming like a delicious luchi in the sky.
You can also send us your recipes, your favorite recipes from your childhood or the one that you have learned from your mother or your grandmother and use it quite often now, and you can send it to us. Have a look at this one, which is sent to us by Poonam, and it's Sabudana Vadas. And now it's your turn to write your poem. You can do it yourself or you can make it a family activity. Each of you think of a food dish and then write it. You can use your ideas and prompts to write your own poem about your favorite food. You just need to remember a few things. A poem doesn't need to rhyme always. You can use as much imagery as possible to make this poem come alive. You can decide on what emotion you want to use for the poem, but you do not need to mention it in the poem. Let the poem show the reader the emotion. And it's important for you to enjoy the act of writing your poem. Once you've done it, you can record your poems and you can send the audio files to us. If you have a recipe from your childhood of your favorite dish, you can send us that also. It doesn't have to be a poem. It could be a recipe you'd like to share, and maybe tell us a little bit more about why you are sharing that recipe, what makes it so special. Using the mind mapping ideas, you can give us a little bit of history around that recipe. And you can record those recipes as well and send the audio files to us in the address which I will share with you shortly. So enjoy writing your poem. So once you have finished writing your poems or including the recipe, you can write more than one poem for sure. You can email them to education@artasia.org.uk. You could also send your audio recordings via WhatsApp or through the Dropbox link. So the WhatsApp number is given and the link for Dropbox is also given on this slide. Please include your name, age and phone number so we can get in touch with you and credit your poems accurately. You will find more workshop packs to explore the theme of belonging through art and music. Please have a look at them on the Art Asia website and have a go at composing a song, making a paper boat, and lots of other activities. We look forward to receiving all your creative output, which we will be displaying in an exhibition. The details will be shared soon. So I hope you've enjoyed this session of writing poems and exploring recipes. And please do not hesitate to send them to us. We're really looking forward to it. Thank you.